Greetings, Black family. We are live right here on Do the Knowledge Radio. It is Thursday. Okay, it is Thursday. It's 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 6 p.m. on the West Coast, aka the West Coast. And it is my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present to others, a phenomenal healing accountability partner who has walked us through this sojourn and helping us navigate through these treacherous waters of generation building, wealth building, generational curse breaking, and healing through the transformation model and vehicle of healing. It starts with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, it comes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present to others. Las Vegas' own divinity, Goddis.
Blessings, love, and light to everyone who is watching this right now and to everyone who will watch this in the future. Um, September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. So, it is definitely my honor, my privilege, and my duty to talk about life insurance right now, especially with all the all the crazy things that have been taking place, with celebrity passings and things like that. If you were on Facebook or even on Twitter, you saw the post of AJ Johnson from who played Ezel in Friday. You saw the post of his wife being seemingly frustrated that people were not donating to his GoFundMe to help bury him. First and foremost, let me put this out there. We as fans have already done our jobs for these celebrities if we have supported their career in any way, shape, form, or fashion. We've already done our part. So as a responsible adult, it is your responsibility to have all of the things that you need in place, put in place. Period, point blank. Her frustration and lashing out at the general public and his friends and whoever else not donating to his GoFundMe. That's not our responsibility. If you consider yourself a responsible adult and you do not have life insurance, let me be the first to tell you, you're not a responsible adult. Whether you are single, or you are married with a family, or you're just married with a spouse. It is nobody else's responsibility but yours to make sure that you have proper life insurance in place so that when something happens to you, GoFundMe's are not what families have to rely on to pay for a homegoing ceremony or cremation. Period. You know, um, it's already sad in and of itself to have to grieve the loss of a loved one, but to have the added burden of trying to come up with the funds to pay for a funeral, and 9 times out of 10, most people really are going to want to try to have a lavish funeral, so those things are going to be costly. And it wasn't just AJ Johnson recently who had a GoFundMe put up, his spouse putting up the GoFundMe to pay for his funeral. If you are on Instagram and you follow voiceover comedian Tony Baker, he recently lost his son as well and had to do a GoFundMe for the funeral and to help fly family members out to California for the funeral. Again, if we as fans have supported your career in any way, bought tickets to your show, bought tickets to your movie, bought your albums, anything like that is not our responsibility to help pay for funerals for either you or your loved ones. That's not our responsibility. Again, if you consider yourself to be a responsible adult, you do not have life insurance in place, at the very least, life insurance or a prepaid funeral service already taken care of you're not a responsible adult. That's it, just is what it is, because this is something that you know is inevitable. You know it's inevitable that you're going to pass away. You know that it's inevitable that your loved ones are going to have to pay for this. So you not being prepared is a huge slap in the face. Why? Because life insurance is affordable. Life insurance is as affordable as you need it to be, or as expensive as you want it to be. The average cost of a funeral across the nation is anywhere from $7,000 to $15,000. That's average across the nation. And that's not going into specific states or cities where the cost of living is actually high. So the funeral costs are going to be higher. So when we start looking at this stuff, like, the average American does not have that kind of money saved up to just be going into their savings and pulling out 7,000, 15,000, $20,000 to pay for somebody else's funeral, because you did not take the time to make sure you had life insurance or a prepaid funeral service taken care of. That's that is not our responsibility to do that for you. You can go to a website called Parting, Parting, parting.com, and see what the average cost of funerals is across the nation. And I was on that website earlier and looking at it. The funeral homes that they have listed on there, some of them were like 2 stars, 3 stars. I think there were a few 4 and 5 stars, because I clicked on the different cities to see what what the average cost of funerals were in the different areas. And these were, I'm gonna say, probably your low end funeral homes. So you have to take all of this stuff into consideration when it comes to trying to plan out your funeral. Now, let me tell you, um, if you're like 25, 26 years old, the cost of life insurance, if you're under 30, if you're under 35, the cost of life insurance is astronomically low if you're just talking about a 30-year term policy. So I ran a quote earlier for a 26-year-old male for a 30-year term policy, non-smoker, for 50,000 in coverage. It's $12.69 a month. You can't tell me that a 26-year-old cannot pay $12.69 a month for a $50,000 30-year term policy. And that price is never going to go up. Like, you don't have to worry about that price going up. It's going to stay the same. Now, if that individual, that same 26-year-old male, was a smoker, that same $50,000 policy is going to be $28.26, less than $30 a month. We have to stop acting like we cannot afford to pay for life insurance. Now, if that's truly the case, listen, I definitely understand, because a lot of people, are in hard times financially right now. And that's understandable. Like, if you truly cannot afford to get life insurance right now, then you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But as soon as you can afford to get life insurance, that's what you need to do. Like I said before, it doesn't matter whether or not you are married with children, married by without children, or single. You still need a policy, and you need one outside of your workplace and outside of your parents having a policy on you. Those are two of the biggest things I hear from people when I, start talking to them about life insurance is, oh, okay, I have a policy through my work. And my follow-up question is, okay, well, how much is it for? I don't know. So when you pay, if something were to happen to you while you're employed, do you know how this policy is going to pay out? No. I just know they take the money out of much. So you don't know anything about this policy whatsoever. You just know you have a policy at work. That's it. You don't know if it's actually a term policy. You don't know if it's an accidental death policy. Um, you don't know how it's going to pay out. You don't know if your employer is entitled to any of that money. You don't know anything other than, well, they take it out of my check every time I get paid. That's it. So again, you're not a responsible adult if you don't know these basics, because what about your beneficiary? Do they know who to contact when something happens to you? Do they know that you're paying for a policy at work? Do they know what company it's with? Do you know what company it's with? A lot of people don't know this stuff. Or the other side of that is, I'll talk to some people and they'll be like, "No, I don't need life insurance. My parents have a policy on me." Okay, that's great. And I always encourage parents to have policies on their adult children. However, what happens to that life insurance when something happens to your parents? Your policy is now gone. Nobody is paying on your policy anymore because your parents have passed away. So again, don't tell me you are a responsible adult and you don't even have a policy on yourself. That's not being responsible. That's being very irresponsible. And I don't want to come off as harsh when it comes to talking about life insurance, but I am so tired of seeing our people pass away and nobody has any sort of life insurance put in place. So now families are scrambling and having to do a GoFundMe. And depending on who your loved one is and what they were doing out here in the community, whether they were a menace to the community or if they were, somebody who was well known in the community, is also going to determine how quickly that money comes in for that GoFundMe. I've seen families have to extend their GoFundMe for at least 2.5 months to try to get $12,000 to pay for a funeral, simply because either one, nobody knew who this person was, two, they were, in the streets, or three, people just don't like them. So there's so many different things you have to think about when it comes to trying to just rely on GoFundMe. GoFundMe should be an absolutely last resort to pay for a funeral. Why? Because life insurance is too affordable for GoFundMe to have to be the way that your family goes to pay for your homegoing services. We shouldn't have to rely on this stuff, because here's the other part of that. Whatever money you raise through GoFundMe, you have to pay taxes on. So if you're already struggling financially, imagine having to pay taxes on this money that you raised for this homegoing. Now you're struggling even more. When life insurance, that check is a tax-free check. I don't know what more incentive people need to get life insurance, but let me tell you, the proceeds from life insurance, the check your beneficiary is going to get, is a tax free. It cannot be taxed. So that's one of the biggest pros to getting life insurance. There are no cons except for not making sure you have the kind of policy that you need to have. I have sat down with too many people who ended up getting a accidental death policy because it was super, super, super cheap, but it wasn't explained to them that you have to die a very specific way and within a matter of time before this policy will pay out. They heard, oh, you can get this $150,000 policy for only $10 a month. And they're like, okay, I can do $10 a month. But it wasn't explained to them, like I said, that you have to die in an accident. You can't be the cause of the accident, and you have to die within X amount of days in order for this to pay out for your family. So we have to stop just taking the bait on getting sucked into the low cost and do our due diligence when it comes to getting these policies. It's called being prepared. I have clients that text me all the time asking me follow up questions about what kind of policy they have. What company is it with again? What do my beneficiaries need to do if something happens to me? And I am more than willing to answer those questions because I want to make sure that you are 100% comfortable knowing what kind of policy you have, who your family needs to contact, which is me if I'm your broker. And I'm going to walk them through every step of the way with making sure that they get this check. Period. We are leaving too much to chance. We are leaving too much worry and burden on our family members, and we're not leaving behind anything but debt and despair. And that is absolutely unacceptable. There's no way that our families should not be out here benefiting from life insurance just like everybody else's. And we also need to start putting policies on our children. I've talked to so many people who feel completely uncomfortable with putting life insurance on their children. I don't understand the mindset. I don't want to try to understand the mindset. But what I can tell you is this. Maybe, I believe yesterday, back home in my hometown, Louisville, Kentucky, a teenager was just gunned down at a bus stop on his way to school. Now, think about if those parents don't have life insurance on their baby. So you just lost your teenager. You don't have life insurance to bury them. What are you gonna do? You're gonna end up doing a GoFundMe. We have to stop looking at life insurance as something negative and realize the actual benefits of what it can do for us and our families. There are policies that you can put on your children that will help pay for their college, that will help fund any entrepreneurial endeavors that they had, that will help fund their retirement. But because so many people have such a negative view on putting life insurance on their children, a lot of children are missing out on having these kinds of policies for themselves because their parents don't believe in putting life insurance on them. So let me tell you this though. If you do get life insurance and you add your children on as a rider because they're under 18 and you can put them on there as a child rider, they're going to come off of your policy the day they turn 25. The hot second they turn 25, they are no longer on your policy. They no longer have life insurance. So if your child is not yet fully responsible, they're switching from job to job, or they decide they want to be an entrepreneur and they're working for themselves. Once they turn 25, they no longer have life insurance. So as soon as they turn 18, even if they are on your policy, you can get a, a small little $50,000 term policy on them for 30 years and have it locked in at a low rate. And when they do become financially stable, they can take over that or they can get a new policy, um, and start from scratch from there. But we do ourselves such a disservice with not having policies in place on our elders and our children. A lot of us adults, some of us do have life insurance because, we've met with somebody or we've seen something on the internet that caused us to reach out to somebody, or I see Facebook posts all the time and I get tagged in a lot of them out here from Vegas that are asking for life insurance brokers. So I get tagged in them a lot. People, something happens, a tragedy happens in people's lives, and then all of a sudden they want to start reaching out and they want to start looking for life insurance. My best advice for you is if you're watching this right now and you do not have life insurance, get a policy ASAP. because you have no idea when you are going to depart here. And the last thing you want to do is have your loved ones struggling and frantic and just stressed out because they're trying to figure out how they're about to pay for your homegoing. And here's the other thing. Once you get your policy in place, if you want, a certain amount of money spent on different things to make sure that all of it's not used up for a funeral, you can write that stuff out on a piece of paper, take it to a notary and get it notarized and put that in your life insurance to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Now, let me ask you guys this. How important, if you're in a serious relationship, be it you're in a long-term relationship with somebody that, y'all not married, but you guys are in a long-term relationship, or you're married, like, how important is it to you for your spouse or significant other to have life insurance? I asked this question because I have sat down with numerous couples where one person is adamant about not getting life insurance, which is crazy to me because these are some conversations you should have had in the dating stage to find this stuff out. But to be in y'all been in a relationship for 5, 10 years, and this person has no they have no desire to get life insurance. So basically, when something happens to them, it's your burden now because they refuse to get life insurance. They don't see the importance of it. Um, that's crazy. How important is it for you? How important is life insurance in your relationship? Can you stay with somebody long term that is adamant about not getting life insurance, and that burden is going to be left on you to take care of when they pass away because they refuse to get life insurance? These are conversations you guys need to be having in the dating stage so you're not blindsided later, or so that something happens, you guys haven't discussed this, and then something happens and now you're sitting here trying to figure out how you're going to pay for a funeral because your partner didn't see the need to have life insurance. They just flat out refused to get it. I've sat down with couples like that. And of course, anytime I sit down with couples or individuals, anytime I sit down with people and they're just adamant about not getting it, I keep my composure, and I just have to walk away because they don't see the need. I'm not going to be able to get them to see the need. Even if 10 people that they're close to pass away with no life insurance, they're still going to be adamant about not getting life insurance. And I'm not going to be able to change their mind because if the people close to them can't get them to change their mind, I'm not going to be able to do it. But here's my thing to you guys. Whoever you consider to be close to you, friends, family, like, this is a conversation y'all need to be having. Because think about it this way. If your friends or family that you're truly close to, that you truly love with your heart and soul, if they pass away with no life insurance, guess who they're going to be looking at to pitch in on this GoFundMe for these people? You, because you're one of the people close to them. They're going to be hitting you up like, hey, can you donate, or can you help us raise this money? And again, life insurance is super inexpensive. Nobody is saying you have to get the most expensive policy out there. What I tell my clients all the time is to get what you can afford to pay comfortably each month without it disrupting your household bills. Now, if you're in a better position and you have more disposable income that you can put towards a permanent policy to help fund your retirement, to help fund your business endeavors, to help fund your vacations, whatever you want to use that money for, then, I have no problems with setting you up for that. But the main goal is to make sure that you can afford to pay for this stuff on a monthly basis, because most people choose to pay it on a monthly basis. You can pay for it monthly, semi-annually, biannually, or annually. So if you want to just pay one lump sum and get it out of the way so you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the year, you can do that. If you want to pay 6 months in advance and pay the other 6 months later, you can do that. But most people know that they need it coming out on a monthly basis because they'll forget about the biannual or annual payments. So, but at the very least, if you pay for it annually, you know within that year, like you're paid up. But again, like I said, most people want it coming out on a monthly basis because it reminds them of, hey, I have this policy. It's still enforced because I am still paying on it. But again, it goes back to being prepared. We cannot afford to not be prepared out here. We keep seeing all these RIP posts and we keep, finding ourselves saying, oh my God, this person just passed away. That person just passed away. Wow, they were only 46 years old. Wow, they were 55 years old. Wow, they were just 42 years old. All of these people are passing away. Some have life insurance, some don't. And we see the ones that don't because, again, the GoFundMe's end up coming across our Facebook screens or our Instagram pages or things like that. And we're just sitting here still not taking it upon ourselves to make sure that we have our affairs in order. And let me tell you, I talk about this all the time. If you are one of those people and whoever you choose to be your beneficiary is not financially responsible, you can put a trust in place and have the life insurance go to that and set up the trust to where they get monthly payments from it so they can't blow it all at once. Most people are not financially responsible. So if they get a hot $100,000 check in their hands, that $100,000 is probably going to be gone in about 6 months time frame, tops, because they're going to go out and splurge on everything that they want, and they're not financially responsible enough to put anything away, to start their own policy, to do any of the things that they need to do. Why? Because we don't take the time to talk about this within our circles. We can talk about everything else. We can talk about sports statistics. We can make posts about, oh man, did you see this new show on Netflix? Yo, it's wild. We can talk about all of this non-important stuff, but we don't take the time to say, hey, friends and family, can y'all make sure that y'all have life insurance put in place? When we meet up and have social gatherings for birthdays or anniversaries, um, baby showers, things like that. We're not having those conversations. That's the perfect opportunity to have those conversations. Why? Because everybody's there. And if they got a DJ, you can ask the DJ, hey, let me get on the mic for a couple of minutes so I can talk about life insurance because I care enough about my friends and family to make sure that everybody has a policy in place. It's so simple to do, but we don't take the time to talk about this because too many of us don't see the value in life insurance. And then we have to sit here and watch our family and friends struggle with GoFundMe's and this and that because people don't want to put life insurance in place. People don't want to put pre-need services in place, even if they don't want to get life insurance. Go to a funeral home out there that has that's reputable. Ask them if they have pre-need services and prepay for your funeral services. There's so many ways to make sure that your family is not having to scrounge up money through GoFundMe, fish fries, car washes, standing out on the corners with buckets. There's so many ways that we can do this to make sure that these things are put in place so our family does not have to worry about that. So all they have to do is mourn and maybe answer a couple of questions from the funeral home about what time do you want the funeral to start? How many programs do you need? Non-essential things, not, yo, we got to come up with $7,000, $10,000, $20,000 to pay for this funeral. Oh my God, how are we going to do that? So my message to you guys in Life Insurance Awareness Month is get prepared. It does not, it all it takes is about a 30 to 45-minute conversation to do the application and get the ball rolling to make sure that your family is not another GoFundMe family where nothing is being left behind because everything that's raised is going towards a funeral. Let's do better at being prepared. Let's do better at taking care of ourselves and our loved ones. And let's actually be responsible adults and make sure we have the things in place, life insurance, that we need to have in place so that our families are not out here struggling and scraping to do what we should have done for ourselves, which is be responsible. Some of the other services that I provide, if you live in Clark County, Nevada, I'm also a mobile notary. I also provide healing services at Ashe Healing House. My business name is Soulful Healing Services. So if you are interested in Reiki, an oracle card reading, or spiritual counseling, Soulful Healing Services on Facebook and Instagram. And I also do skincare and jewelry products, Soulful Creations 23 on Instagram and Facebook. You can find my life insurance page on Instagram and Facebook, Generational Wealth Solutions, powered by Equus Financial on Facebook, and Generational Wealth Solutions LLC on Instagram. This has been Divinity Goddess with a message of preparedness in Life Insurance Awareness Month. Please make sure you do the right thing by yourself and your family and put a policy in place today. Peace and blessings, love and light to you all.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. Night in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a. Let's get
And
back
that
to
motive
the
is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.